Do you like curiosity as I do? If you do, then you have visited the right place, because archaeologists find some discoveries that are so incredible they are often kept away from the human eye. And if you are thinking that these are just normal discoveries, then keep watching this video, because we are about to open the doors to the top forbidden finds that nobody can ignore. So let's dive deeply into our topic and see what they actually are. Number 15. Great Pyramid Hidden Voids, Egypt. This one still feels unreal. The Great Pyramid has been studied for centuries, measured from every angle, scanned, photographed, and mapped. Then modern science quietly changed the game. Using high-tech muon imaging, researchers detected a huge void hidden deep inside the Great Pyramid of Giza. Not a crack, not a small pocket. A massive internal space, one of the first major interior structures found in over 100 years. And here's the part that gets me. No one has entered it. It hasn't been drilled into. No camera has passed through. The void is known to exist, yet it remains completely unexplored physically. Its shape, its purpose, and what might be inside are still unknown. In a monument, people think we've figured out that an entire hidden space is sitting there in silence. Number 14. Lascaux Cave, France. Picture being a teenager, wandering into a hole in the ground and accidentally uncovering one of humanity's greatest artistic treasures. That's exactly what happened in 1940 when Lascaux was discovered. Inside, the walls were covered with dramatic Paleolithic paintings that would soon become some of the most famous prehistoric images on Earth. Fame, however, came at a cost. As crowds poured in, moisture, carbon dioxide, and airborne organisms slowly began attacking the art. By 1963, officials made a hard decision and shut the original cave completely to stop the damage. Since then, the real Lascaux has stayed off limits, protected in darkness. What people visit today are its doubles. Carefully built sites like Lascaux 2 and Lascaux 4 now host the public, offering a visual experience of the cave while the authentic paintings remain sealed away from human presence. Number 13. Altamira Cave Paintings, Spain. This one didn't close overnight. Altamira faded behind locked doors and stages, each restriction coming after new warning signs appeared. Over time, visitors' breath, body heat, moisture, and artificial light quietly began changing the cave's fragile environment. The paintings responded in the worst way. Green microbial stains started creeping across the ancient surfaces. By 2002, the situation had become serious enough that authorities closed the cave again, this time to confront the biological damage already forming. Since then, entry to the original chamber has been severely limited. Instead of walking into the real cave, visitors are guided into the Neo-Cave and Museum, where a meticulous replica now stands. It wasn't built for spectacle. It exists because the authentic Altamira could no longer survive open exposure. The art still exists, but it lives behind restrictions, climate controls, and scientific supervision. Number 12. Hidden chambers in Tutankhamun's tomb. You'd think King Tut's tomb had given up all its secrets by now. It hasn't. Modern high-resolution radar scans inside his burial complex in the Valley of the Kings revealed something unsettling. Signals consistent with possible additional sealed chambers behind the known walls. Spaces that don't belong to the original layout. Spaces no one has entered. These areas have never been physically opened or explored. No drilling, no robots, no breakthroughs, just scans and unanswered questions. Whatever exists behind those ancient stone blocks has remained sealed since antiquity. It could be storage rooms, it could be ritual chambers, it could be nothing. But until someone crosses that barrier, one of archaeology's most famous tombs still holds a locked door the world has never stepped through. Number 11. Dead Sea Scrolls. Some discoveries aren't hidden by stone. People hide them. Between 1946 and 1956, caves near Qumran yielded one of archaeology's greatest shocks. Thousands of fragments and hundreds of ancient manuscripts, now known as the Dead Sea Scrolls. Their contents reshaped the understanding of early religious history. But after their discovery, something strange happened. For decades, the scrolls were controlled by a small scholarly group. Many qualified researchers were denied access. Some couldn't even obtain photographs. The situation sparked global controversy as years passed without full publication. Only in the early 1990s did things begin to change. Access broadened, archives opened, publication accelerated. What shocked people most wasn't what the scrolls said. It was how long knowledge of them remained restricted, quietly sealed within academic walls instead of being shared with the world. Number 10. Cave of Horror Finds. This isn't a place people wander into. Reaching the so-called Cave of Horror means rope descents, heat, cliffs, and risk before history even enters the picture. The cave first gained its grim reputation in the 1960s, when explorers uncovered human remains deep inside its chambers. Decades later, it returned to headlines for a very different reason. In 2021, authorities announced the recovery of new Dead Sea Scroll fragments from this same hostile cave system. Every expedition since has been treated like a rescue operation rather than a dig. The cliffs are unforgiving, the passages are unstable, and the threat of illegal digging is constant. That's why these desert cave recoveries operate under tight control of locations and access. Archaeologists aren't just studying the past here, they're racing it, trying to secure what remains before looters or nature erases it first. Number 9. Cleopatra's tomb. Let me ask you something honestly. How does someone this famous just vanish? Cleopatra VII ruled one of the most powerful kingdoms of the ancient world. Her life, her alliances, even her love story with Mark Anton are carved into history. Yet when it comes to where they were laid to rest, everything goes quiet. Despite centuries of research, excavations, and theories, no archaeologist has ever confirmed the location of Cleopatra and Mark Antony's tomb. Not a chamber, not a sealed doorway, not a verified inscription. Only partial clues are scattered across ancient texts and coastal ruins. No full excavation tied to their burial has ever been made public. That absence is what keeps this mystery alive. One of the most documented women in human history left behind a trail that simply stops at death, turning her resting place into one of archaeology's greatest unanswered questions. Number 8. Chauvet Cave Paintings, France. You know that feeling when something is so delicate it almost doesn't feel real? That's the energy surrounding Chauvet. Tucked inside southern France, this cave wasn't even known to modern science until December 18, 1994, when explorers stumbled into what would become one of the most significant prehistoric art sites ever recorded. Walls came alive with ancient animals, movement, and depth no one expected from people tens of thousands of years ago. And almost as quickly as it was found, it vanished again. Authorities closed it to the public nearly immediately, realizing human breath and bacteria could trigger chemical and microbial damage. The real cave has remained sealed ever since. Instead, the world was given a carefully engineered stand-in. In 2015, France opened the Caverne du Pont d'Arc, a full-scale replica that lets visitors experience Chauvet's art without ever risking the original. Number 7. Zawiyet el-Aryan Pyramids. This is where archaeology runs straight into a wall. South of Giza lies Zawiyet el-Aryan, a strange pyramid complex most people never hear about, not because it lacks importance, but because access is blocked. Since 1964, the entire site has been sealed by the Egyptian military, placing it inside a restricted zone. That decision has effectively prevented full archaeological study. Researchers can't freely excavate. The public can't visit. What the world sees comes only from rarely released photographs showing limestone structures and underground chambers. What lies beyond that is unknown. The extent of buried rooms, corridors, and possible artifacts beneath the sand remains undocumented and forbidden to outside researchers. It's one of the few pyramid sites on Earth where the mystery isn't age, it's modern restriction. Number 6. Plymouth Bone Caves, UK, restricted access. Here's something people walk over without realizing what's underneath them. Beneath the modern city of Plymouth sits a network of fossil-rich caves holding the remains of humans and Ice Age animals. These aren't open caverns with guided tours. Many of them are sealed, hidden, or structurally dangerous. To prevent damage and theft, the exact locations and numerous entrances are deliberately kept secret. Access isn't granted to explorers or tourists. It's limited strictly to scientific research teams. The goal isn't mystery, it's survival. The remains are fragile. Context matters. Looting would destroy centuries of information. So while a city moves above in daylight, pieces of deep human and prehistoric life sit below, protected by silence and restricted knowledge. Number 5. Cosquer Cave, France. Imagine discovering a painted cave, then realizing half of it disappears underwater. That's Cosquer. Hidden along France's Mediterranean coast, this prehistoric site is now partly submerged, a reminder that sea levels don't respect history. Because of its unstable condition, the original cave remains closed and tightly monitored, with access limited to specialists. The paintings inside are fragile. The environment is dangerous. The risk is constant. That's why the public never enters the real Cosquer. Instead, the story moved to the surface. On June 4, 2022, Marseille opened Cosquer Méditerranée, a detailed replica that allows visitors to see the art without approaching the original site. The replica doesn't exist as entertainment. It exists because the real cave is inaccessible and endangered. What lies beneath the water is still there, but it survives only through protection, not tourism. Number 4. Xaghra Stone Circle, Malta. On the island of Gozo, history isn't buried gently. At Xaghra, excavation through the late 20th century exposed a Neolithic funerary complex unlike anything expected. Beneath the surface lay tens of thousands of human bones, mixed with ritual objects and artifacts that pointed to generations of burial use. The scale alone was unsettling, but the condition of the site quickly raised alarms. Large portions proved too fragile to leave open. Structural risks, environmental sensitivity, and the threat of interference pushed authorities toward restriction. Today, much of Xaghra remains closed to the public. Some areas are still unstudied beneath protective coverage, left sealed rather than rushed. Research access is strictly controlled by the government, not for mystery, but to prevent collapse and looting. What's visible is only a fraction. The rest waits quietly, protected by barriers instead of display cases. Number 3. Matiate Underground City. Sometimes a city doesn't rise from the ground. It drops away. Beneath the old town of Matiate, workers in 2020 broke through stone and opened a world no map had recorded. What emerged was Matiate, a vast underground city stretching through chambers, corridors, and hidden rooms. Estimates suggest it spans tens of hectares, making it one of the largest subterranean complexes ever found in the region. Yet almost all of it remains unseen. Only about 3 to 7% has been excavated so far. The rest stays sealed, not by secrecy, but by caution. Archaeologists are opening sections gradually and in phases, each step monitored under government oversight. Most tunnels remain untouched, most rooms unentered. The discovery didn't end in 2020, it barely began. Number 2. Tillya Tepe Treasure Vault. For years, one of the richest archaeological finds on Earth didn't sit in a museum. It sat in silence. The gold of Tillya Tepe, a massive ancient hoard, was believed lost during Afghanistan's chaos in the 1990s. In reality, It had been sealed away in secret vaults beneath Kabul's central bank. So restricted was its protection that even the identities of some key holders were unknown. The treasure only resurfaced when officials revealed that it had survived decades of war, unrest, and political collapse. Its rediscovery stunned the world, not because it was found in the soil, but because it had been hidden in plain sight, deliberately removed from public knowledge. Few archaeological stories revolve around locks and vaults instead of ruins. This one does, making it one of the most obscure, controlled rediscoveries ever recorded. Number 1. Hidden Roman hoards. This story doesn't start with archaeologists. It starts with silence. In Lower Saxony, a Roman-era hoard containing about 450 silver coins, along with gold and artifacts, was pulled from the ground by an illegal detectorist. Instead of being reported, it vanished into private possession. For 8 years, the discovery remained undisclosed. No museum, no documentation, no academic record. During that time, history simply went missing. When the hoard was finally reported, the revelation wasn't just the treasure itself, but the length of time it had been kept from public and scholarly view. That delay meant lost context, delayed study, and unanswered questions. The objects survived. The story around them fractured. It stands as a reminder that some archaeological finds aren't hidden by governments or deserts, but by the people who find them first. Well, history still has more locked doors than open ones, and some of them may never be unlocked. If these forbidden discoveries amazed you, then don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more hidden history, and share your thoughts below. Thanks for watching. Take care. We will catch you in the next one.